Hello and welcome to the Finding Speed.com GT3 League UK Tour, live on the Finding Speed YouTube channel. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick. Alongside me for tonight is Jim Hodgson, and Sam Kuma is operating the cameras, and we're here for round 3 of the championship, round 3 of 5. And we're here at one of the classics in British motorsports in this UK tour. It is Donington. After visiting Alton Park and Brands Hatch, it's a bit odd, Jim. The drivers will be able to stretch their legs a little bit around this place. Lots of high-speed corners, a couple of decent straights as well, and yeah, a real fan favourite of many of the drivers.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it myself. I'm just noticing, looking at the track silhouette there, how much it kind of looks a little bit, if you forget about the hairpin, it looks a little bit like Le Mans, just in terms of the track shape.
You're right.
But yeah, we're in for a real treat today, Sam.
Absolutely. I will say that if you getting rid of the hairpin makes the circuit even better. We actually had the national layout on ARLTC the week or so ago, and that was very good. But this international layout as well works very well. It does increase the overtaking opportunities a bit more appropriate for these GT3 cars. Once again, this is round 3 of the championship, and yeah, there's a title to be given out, as we have a little bit of a spin for Chris Tapio just going off the circuit at the chicane, going to be one of the main tricky spots so far today. But so far it's been the domination of the Luxem 24 drivers, Jim. No one's really been able to get particularly close, and you know, we've had over 30 cars on the grids for a couple of the rounds so far this season. We're going to be close to that number again today. The fact that these guys are being able to lock out the front row of the grid, and usually lock out the podium as well, is extremely impressive.
No question about it. They have definitely been, just the class of the field, really putting on a master class. But yeah, that's also what this league is about. Is, getting people who are maybe a little bit newer to the idea, alongside people who've got a little bit more experience. And we're here to find speed, right?
Absolutely. And yeah, as you say, there's a lot of new drivers, lots of drivers using the setups made available by Russell Barnes, and also following his driving tips. And of course, do certainly check out his videos on FindingSpeed.com. If you're watching on the Finding Speed YouTube channel, then you're already in the right place. Go subscribe. If you're on Apex Racing TV watching this, then also go subscribe to FindingSpeed.com. Because then you can get all those different tips, and it's not just about driving stuff, it's also kind of about your mentality to iRacing, really how to get the most out of iRacing. So certainly do check out the Finding Speed channel, and also the FindingSpeed.com website. We're currently in a 20-minute qualifying session. 6 minutes into this qualifying session, we'll then have a 1-hour race. The drivers just try and set their fastest time as possible. At the moment, it's Aaron Rose with a comfortable margin. I doubt he'll be that comfortable later on. The two Rose brothers tend to be extremely close to one another. There's usually 1 or 2 challenges as well in qualifying.
Yeah, no question. Just looking at the timing tower now, the cars are getting faster and faster. Lots of green sectors, so they're sort of finding their legs, if you like. So we certainly haven't seen the end of qualifying by any means. But you're right. The Roses have just been unstoppable out there. Great to see McIntosh just climbing up into provisional P2. Still, a strong 3/10, if not 4 adrift of Aaron Rose's time so far. But yeah, maybe we'll see a little bit of a shakeup today.
Yeah, good qualifying for RPM at the moment. Him and Lancaster and Richardson, for that matter, all up in the top 7, which they will be quite happy with that if they can continue with that. Cars competition currently running in 12th and 13th, Rinbo and Tranter. And also Dane Baird, our co-commentator at Apex Racing TV, a little bit further down the order. McIntosh going for another lap here, and like I said before, this chicane can be a real tricky spot. You've got to set up the car right to be able to deal with the bumps. You don't really want to be spending an hour racing around this place, kind of not fully committing to that chicane. You really want to just not even think about it really, and just go into it very fast and take the fastest route possible. But it's not particularly easy unless you got those springs appropriate, as that was a very good avoid by Peterson.
Yeah, I was noticing, just as you were mentioning a second ago, I was just noticing when we saw Tranter's car come through the chicane, it seemed like there was a good bit. It seemed like the car might be set up a little bit softer than usual. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not a setup guru myself, but whatever way you can deal with those curves, that very violent oscillation for the car, whatever way you deal with that, the drivers will have to employ that. Even though that's really the only corner that you deal with curves. If you can't set up can't set up the car just for that one corner and kind of compromise with the rest of the track.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, on the one hand, you want if you set it up nice and hard, then it's predictable. There's less body roll. But on the other hand, if you have a little bit more compliance in the suspension, then maybe you can deal with the bumps, as you say. So, um, you know, I am no more qualified than you are to talk about. But I do like to speculate about suspension setups. I just don't. I shouldn't be trusted to actually do it.
No. I got decent at setting up cars like a couple of years ago. Um, and then I started taking sim racing a bit less seriously, and now if it's not a fixed setup series, I'm out of there. I can't be dealing with that. Don't like practicing, honestly. I like racing, not practicing. Aaron Rose might be about to improve. He's just set the fastest third sector of anyone and the fastest first sector of anyone. Not a fantastic second sector, albeit that might only be a couple of hundredths off his best time. It was a good second sector, actually, compared to the others. And it is now a fastest lap. Again, didn't improve in sector 4. Yeah, not the fastest sector 4, but over the course of the lap, he does take a slightly bigger advantage. And still Lewis Rose not improving yet. There's certainly more in that. There's no way that there's 9/10 of a second between the teammates. There's no way that Rose is slower than all those drivers just ahead of him. He just hasn't yet hitched up that lap, albeit he is currently out on circuit.
Yeah, well, a lot of cars out on circuits, so maybe he just hasn't had the clear air he wants. Plenty of factors to play in here, but definitely looks like a beautiful day, unlike our previous entry into a pea soup.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's looking nice. What is the? I think this series, of course, always follows the right date, doesn't it?
Hmm.
I'm struggling to find it at the moment, but I do believe that this will probably be set up on the correct day. Here we go, thanks to Simucube. There you go, 15th of December. And apparently, it is 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, that is far from the truth. There was Minbo person an awesome lap to go up to third. Yeah, I think it's right at this moment at Donington in Kent. No, is it Kent? No, that's Brands Hatch. Not sure where Donington is. But I guarantee it's not 79. It's probably about 40 at the moment. But if only it was 79. So it will be. It does change the sky slightly, but you can see it's in the middle of the day. So no threat of it getting dark out there as Richardson just rounding the final corner at the moment. How has this lap been for him? Any personal best sectors? Yeah, a couple of personal best sectors actually. And he moves up into 4th position. So still improvements being set by the drivers. And both Binbo and Richardson storming up the order for cars competition RPM respectively.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the timing now, and it looks like Lewis Rose is going to do well for himself as he moves himself into a provisional P3 there. Pretty fast time, but I would expect to see, a little bit closer than this 3/10, nearly 4 adrift of his brother. Having said that, I couldn't turn in a lap that fast, so what am I talking about?
Well, you got a point though. They've set very high standards for yourself, and um, they shouldn't. They should, do the journey, guys. Come on, we want to see from the ashes and rising up to the top as Tapie moves to 4th place. But no, you're right. It is slightly surprising that Aaron Race has that advantage at the moment. They are going for the championship, those two. Their other championship contender, I will just try to find out what the results were for the last round of the championship, but certainly Rose, the two Rose brothers are the main contenders for that title. But I think both of them have made a couple of mistakes so far this season. Usually the pit entries tend to be a point of issue, albeit it should be a little bit more simple around here than it was at the very tight pit entry at Alton Park, and of course the tricky white line at Donington. Christian Furtz, no, yeah, it is Christian Furtz, there you go. He is about to line up another lap here. The driver who I think was 4th place last time, Furtz, and he's trying to open up that final corner, get on the power early, and start this lap with just over 6 minutes to go. Still plenty of time.
Yeah, plenty of qualifying left to go. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of outlaps here. Maybe people are coming in and having a little bit of a tweak on their setup and then heading back out to see if they can squeeze a little bit more time out of the track. Yeah, first must be pleased with himself, although I would say that Lewis Rose is certainly within striking distance of making something happen with Furtz there and then slotting underneath Aaron Rose at the top of the timing tower, but remains to be seen.
Yeah, ooh, that's a car right on the exit. That is a little bit of a risk around here with the pit exit. Of course, I was looking at the racecircuits.info, our brilliant site. If anyone has ever has never checked it out, but if you want any details on race circuits, I certainly recommend going there. I was doing some little bit of looking at what the 2010 layout would have been. I don't know if you know this, Jim, but in 2009, or maybe even 2008, Donington got the 10-year license for Formula 1. They're going to completely renovate this place, and this straight that we're now going on for Lewis was going to become the new pit straight. You were going to have the pits on the right side of the circuit, and then you'd have just a complete flat out section. Get rid of this chicane, and then you'd also go straight on pretty much, or not a hairpin at the now final corner, but kind of 90-degree corner, go over a few hills, and then rejoin to the old pit straight. It would have been very cool. Safe to say, I think it would have been very fantastic. Unfortunately, of course, those renovations never occurred. Basically, a long-winded way of saying, if Donington had millions more pounds at the time, then we wouldn't have that silly pit exit, and Lewis Rose's lap wouldn't have been slightly compromised at the start. However, he is now crossing the line and he doesn't improve, so I'm putting down to the bad preparation there of Bernie Eccleston for not renovating this circuit, for him not taking pole there, and I think he should take that responsibility as well.
Well, I'm sure he will. You know, he's got a lot to, he's got a lot to answer for, and he gladly shoulders those burdens. Isn't interesting, you know, that there's not any kind of blend line or anything there at the pit exit. It's just kind of, you just drive your car out into the meat grinder, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, an accident waiting to happen. That one is usually the pit entries, isn't it? Which are the worst ones. South Korea, Pyongyang comes to mind, where you had to brake halfway around a corner. And of course, you got like the Shanghai one where you go straight on at a corner where you usually brake. Warburton just goes off the circuit there. But yeah, this one's not particularly good, and it could easily be changed. You know, but they have not done that. Albeit this is an old scan, I do not believe they have fixed it since. However, I was just looking at the finishing order of last time. It was Lewis Rose who took the win last time out. So there is a little bit of catching up for Aaron Rose, but I'm not sure how much you remember of that one. It wasn't an entire fortnight ago, Jen. But in that one, we saw Aaron Rose take pole position ahead of Lewis Rose, and Lewis just absolutely hounded him in the early stages, was all over the back of him, eventually overtook him, and that was at Alton Park. So it's kind of odd to see how Aaron does seem to be the faster qualifier, but judging by the last couple of races, Lewis tends to be the faster racer. So certainly the fact that there's that difference at the moment in qualifying, that won't necessarily be the difference in come the race.
Yeah, well, we had such a great race 2 weeks ago. The pit strategy really figured into the end of the race, so that I think that might have been a little bit of a dice roll there. But just as you were speaking there, Lewis Rose was able to better his time in order to get into P2. He just sneaks above Furtz's time there in provisional P3. Um, so they will be together. But yeah, you see that, don't you? Where you have drivers who are very good at flinging the car around the track, in qualifying, maybe not quite as good, once the race starts. But of course, there's luck and all the other things that make us love this to figure in as well.
Yeah. I'll ask you, are you a qualifier or are you a racer?
Very much a racer. I'm not. I pride myself on sort of an endurance mindset, being able to hand over a car that's not on fire to the next driver. Um, yeah, that's where I'm at. And in fact, I get very annoyed with teammates who treat an endurance race as an extended qualifying session, and so yeah, I'm not in it for the lap times so much as the overall performance.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm kind of similar. I always like the tactics of it. Letting a driver go,
Yeah.
stepping in their slipstream. Letting a driver go so they can go wreck the drivers ahead. Love all of love all those tactics. And as a commentator, it drives me mad when I see drivers battling one another when it's totally unnecessary. And we might see that later on, albeit around this Donington circuit. Track position should be quite important, albeit it is by far, well, I'd say by far, yeah, I'd say by far the most easy circuit to overtake of the calendar so far. Then we'll head to Snetterton, which will be another tricky to overtake circuit, and then Silverstone, which will be by far and away the most expansive track on the calendar. So a few moves should be possible. So it is worth defending around a circuit like this because you defend for a couple of laps and you might be able to stall the progress of the other guy. But when you're around Monza and you're defending into every single corner, it is a bit of a waste. McLennan, we are currently watching, heading into the first of the hairpins. Very unique, these hairpins, kind of double apexed almost, but super wide, and they really do lend themselves to overtaking. And then this last one is pretty much blind. You go over the crest, and getting on the power at the right time is tricky. And McLennan just struggling a bit through that one. You see if he can up his 25th position as he crosses the line. I don't think it was an improvement for McLennan, and he's back to the pits. Lancaster up into 7th. I think he was running just behind there, so nice job there from him. I've still got Vinbo, who was up to 3rd place, has just gone down the order slightly, but the Swedish driver going for his best qualifying of the season, I believe. We know that he is a qualifier from the Apex Racing League GT Championship, and he crosses the line and goes pole. Well, I was not
Whoa!
expecting that. And Emil Vinbo, take a bow. Wow, what a man, what a man. He takes pole position and he dips into the 26s. Well, honestly, I've been commentating for a little while, Jim, but I did not expect that whatsoever. Because Vinbo, hasn't been in the top 5 on the grid, I think, this season. The Roses and the Luxem guys absolutely dominating. And then, well, Dane Baird will be proud before class competition for his teammates to take pole position. What a lap from Vinbo there.
Yeah, absolutely storming lap. I didn't get it out of my mouth, and it's lucky that I did. It might have been unlucky for Vinbo, but I was just about to ask if you thought that Kairos would have slightly better luck this week, and it would appear, but it would appear that they certainly will. Just sneaked it in there, 92 thousandths. Beautiful, loving it.
Well, yeah, George Russell did well in qualifying earlier on, but Emil Winbay, by far the better man, taking pole position for Ferrari. Yeah, brilliant job there from Winbay. Can he hold on to it? And this does look like a bit more of an interesting race. We had the Luxem 24 guys of Aaron Rose, Lewis Rose, and also Billy Fletcher dominates the races so far this season, but Binbo takes pole position as the drivers start to line up on the grid. There's Aaron Rose ahead of Lewis Rose again on the grid. Christian first, lines up in 4th. Then it's Chris Tapia, good qualifying for him in 5th. Albeit I think Tapia did drop down last time at Alton Park, so do watch for him potentially losing places at the start. Then it's the 2 RPM drivers of Richardson and Lancaster. Jim McIntosh dropped down in the end to 8th, but still good qualifying for him. That's Stein Van Nylen, Ole Pedersen, Igor Bembik, EJ Donald Lyons, Mark Tranter, who's usually a much better racer than he is qualifier, so watch out for him in 13th. Braden Coates in 14th. There's Aaron Lord, Adam Groves, John Dinkel, Max Christiansen, Chris. Oh dear, I've got it wrong again.
Guillaume.
Sorry, my God, I should be in jail. Chris Guillaume in 19th. Then it's Luke Davis, Dan Ocaranza, Benjamin Warburton, Dane Baird, Matt Jackson, John McLennan, Callum Pratt, and Russell Barnes. Of course, today's organiser starting right from the back. Roggenbuck and Weir, I don't think we'll be taking the starts, so that'll be 27 cars for this round 3 of the championship.
Yeah, excited. You know, I was just thinking, if you are in a position to safely and responsibly enjoy a beverage, you might think about coming up with a drinking game where you take a sip for every place that Barnes climbs, starting from the back.
We don't want to kill anyone here, Jim. Come on.
You know, he's done so much work to put all this together for us to enjoy. He starts right the way at the back of the field and climbs through the field. You know, he said, as you'll remember, that he didn't want to hand himself a trophy, so that's why he starts at the back, because he's doing this. You know, this isn't his time to race. It's his time to sort of give back to the community. But yeah, a small sip, I think.
Perhaps, yeah. He will go many places. He didn't have a good race last time at Alton Park. But, yeah, I think we could well see him in the top 10 by the end of this race, like he managed to do at Brands Hatch. So Vinbo then, from the pole position, first time that car has really threatened the top of the grid so far this season, and he will have control of the field. Watch out for the 2 race brothers, the championship contenders. They will not hold back any punches despite being teammates. So we're away racing then for 1 hour of action at Donington Park, and it's Bimbo who leads the drivers into turn 1. The race bell's not changing around. Lancaster could start to get past his teammate Richardson, although Richardson just coming back at him going through turn 1. I think they're just side by side going down the hill for the first time, and it is McIntosh then who does make that move on Lancaster in the end. So Lancaster looked like he was going to get a good start, but in the end drops back, and actually a very tight line at the old hairpin as we've got a car almost round in the background. That's Igor Bembik right there. And we've also got the 14th place car, the formerly 14th place car. That's Braden Coates off the circuit. He drops down the order. So far, no one needing big repairs. We are going to have Roggenbuck actually on the grid, which is good. I think he's just started from the pits, or maybe that's me making stuff up. I think that's me making stuff up. But the rest of the order doing very well. It's McIntosh with a slowdown. It's easy to pick up because the curbs aren't particularly threatening around much of this circuit, and he's not careful, he's going to pick up another one there, and a slowdown on that point. It's going to lose you a lot of time, as Bimbo is going to lose a place to Rose, and Bimbo's got a slowdown as well, and I think that was at the chicane then, and he has to grind to a halt. He's already down to 4th, and he might even be down to 6th.
Oh, heartbreaking. Yeah, running in P4 at the moment, just behind first, but yeah, that's got to be, you know, it's just a roller coaster emotionally for Bimbo at the moment, isn't it? I mean, his heart's still got to be pounding from that P1 qualifying performance, but then to have something like a slowdown. You know, I was just about to ask, because I don't know how strict this circuit is, and I guess Bimbo's found out that it's a little more strict than he might have liked.
Yeah, I always forgot Luke Davis off the track car. That's taking him a while to get back onto the circuit, down to 25th. He also had, that's a long way off the circuit. That's Ocaranza. He's collided with Jackson. And, we got another one off. Ole Pedersen, who started in 10th place. And there was another driver off as well. I think it was Aaron Lords. Aaron Lords off the circuit. And, that's profile picture. It's kind of the epitome of his race so far, because it's not gone to plan. And so quite a few changes all of a sudden, and we'll try to get you a couple of replays of that. But for the lead, we've got Aaron Rose battling with Lewis Rose, and there's a change between the teammates. And it's Lewis Rose who leads the race, and just as we saw at Alton Park, Aaron Rose with the qualifying pace, but Lewis Rose the faster come the green flag. And this has been a very frantic first couple of laps as the race leader runs a little bit wide.
Wow, that was quite a move up the inside there on Lewis Rose's part. You know, glad to see that sort of, you know, came good for everybody, but just a huge confidence on the brakes there in the hairpin, and it seems to have worked out so far. Kind of nice tight pack of 4. Well, I say tight as we get a side-on shot. It seems that they're a little bit drawn out there. Rose, Hertz, and Vinbo. Maybe not too bad of a position for Vinbo, Sam. Maybe he can sort of hang on to that pack and kind of regroup and come back at him. That, you know, he's got to still have in the back of his mind the knowledge that he can put in a faster lap than these guys, so he can just bide his time.
Yeah, that will certainly be a confidence boost. He's only 1.6 seconds off the lead. That's getting pretty close to Aaron Rose now as well, who, yeah, like I said again, good in qualifying, but does struggle to back it up come the race. Les Lancaster, well, this isn't much of a braking spot, and that was over-aggressive, I think, there from Lancaster, and Donald Lyons is going to get past him. I don't really know what the logic there from Robert was in that scenario, because, yeah, that's not a big braking area. It's a very fast chicane, a very sweeping chicane. And he did have to back out of it. Trenta also just came past Dinkel a little bit further back. He's up into the top 10 now. So, and Donald Lyons is actually at 5 places. A good start for him so far to get up into the top 7 as Lewis Rose sets the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, you're lucky to get through those chicanes with the bollards placed where they are. You know, you're lucky to get through there with both your wing mirrors still attached to the car. So to see somebody attempt kind of a move there is a little bit of a head scratcher.
Benjamin Warpearson pulling away from Dan Okoranza now. So he moves on to lap 4. Yeah, just the only driver who's come into the pits. We've had a couple of drivers come into the pits. Aaron Laws was one of them. And that may have been until after the frantic first half of the second lap that we had. It's pretty frantic as well. Trenta versus Dinkel. Trenta up 3 places, Dinkel up 6. Then you got Groves up 4, Christensen up 5, Guillaume up 5, Baird up 8, Barnes up 11, and McLennan up 8. So all these guys have had a very good start, and I was going to say, oh, Trenta will probably pull away from these guys, but they've all had good starts as well. So yeah, really good drive from these drivers so far, and they might even be able to set their sights on the drivers much further up the road as we see Groves attacking. Oh, well, almost a traffic jam down at the head came to a halt there.
Yeah, it's like the lowest speed bump and run ever.
Yeah, so it's been through up there. I just saw Binbay dropping down the order. Maybe it wasn't an off, but he certainly lost a couple of places. He's down to 6th now.
Yeah, something has to have happened because there was a pretty big gap from those. He's got to have had an off.
Maybe it's yeah, must have been off because you would have served the slowdown by this point. It's a really tricky corner. That's the most tricky corner for me around. It's like and there you go, just over rotates the car.
Yeah, even though that turn is on camber, just the way that the track descends there, very easy to lose the rear of the car.
Yeah, the rest of it is a very satisfying circuit. You know, particularly the first half of the lap is you know, really iconic. But this extra bit is a bit more fiddly in order to get through. So it's now actually O'Donnell Lyons, remarkably, who apologies, so O'Donnell Lyons isn't the lead car, but he's only 1 place behind Binbo despite starting about 12 positions between the 2 of them. Lancaster trying to gain a place on O'Donnell Lyons after losing that before, and he goes down the inside and he hits him. and he hits him again. And Lancaster's getting a little bit of a reputation here for aggressive moves. He went for that aggressive move at the chicane. That again was a little bit of a late.
Yeah, there was a lot of, you know, as you say, if you manage to have 2 crashes in 1 turn, that's a bit much.
Yeah. Yeah, but Lancaster 2 has been very good so far this season. But yeah, for RPM Racing, a couple of incidents so far, they have just started dropping back on the drivers ahead as Donington runs a bit wide. This part of the circuit is very narrow, however, so it'll be tricky to force a move here. He goes down the inside, the engine pulls up, and Lancaster makes contact again, and O'Donnell skating off the track into the gravel, and will drop down to about 15th place now.
Yeah, that was a mugging, just absolute mugging. You know, O'Donnell Lines, I was just about to speculate whether his, you know, arrow being bent the way it is in the rear of the car after his initial mugging was going to affect him, but then he had to go galloping across the beach there.
Yep, and yeah, it's down to 15th place. Then Barnes up to 14, so it's already moved up half the drivers who started ahead of him. Russell Barnes on that last lap set at 29.96. That's quite a bit slower than the race leader, so it must have been held up one way or another. Maybe this will be a bit more representative lap of what his pace is like. He seems to be kind of a 10th.5 slower through each of the sectors, so probably about half a second a lap slower than the leaders. As yeah, the leaders do a 28.2, Barnes with a 28.4, so not far off, any quarter of a second off.
Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed that we don't have his video this time because his facial expressions are usually so entertaining. Oh, we got a big off back there. It's Finbo again. Oh, no. It looked like he might have gotten a tap in the rear there, but I didn't see too much on screen. I'm sure we'll have a replay if possible.
Well, we do know that, well, Finbo got a little bit of reputation in the Apex Racing League GT Championship back in Season 3, so there's a bit of a slide for Rose just in the background. But Finbo did get a bit of a reputation for being very good in qualifying, but then erratic occasionally come the race. But there's no doubt that Les Pace there just needs to refine it a little bit more. It's much better to be fast and erratic than it is to be slow and consistent. I think at least you've got a bit more potential in that sense. I know I'm slow and consistent. I'd much rather be in bin-based shoes personally. I'd rather have talent than whatever I've got.
Well, don't sell yourself short. There's Barnes getting another place. Better reach for your beverage. It's just overtaking Guillaume there in the hairpin.
Well, you would have taken a lot of sips in a short amount of time, I imagine. You would have thought that they'd be spaced out a little bit at least across this race, but it's up into yeah, up into 13th, and I mean Trent is only 5 seconds up the road. It's only a top 8 for Barnes would be possible, and there's always a couple of issues for the drivers further up. This is not an easy circuit by any means. Easy to pick up slowdowns, easy to have an off, and if you do have an off, then you know you're going to lose a lot of time because there's a lot of grass around here. Not going to be a whole lot of runoff, and also possible to hit the wall as well. So maybe even a top 5 could be possible for him. Here comes O'Donnell Lines, trying to recover. He's actually down to 18th place. Then is O'Donnell Lines, so he's had another issue, or that car is just so broken that he's struggling for pace. But he did drop down to 15th initially, but now he's down into 18th.
Yeah, as you say, it is a concern, isn't it, when you have a sort of a faster circuit like this with the faster turns. The trouble is, if you have an off, you go farther off.
Yeah, especially with this new tyre model, or the current tyre model is over a year old now. But yeah, especially with that, then you are going to struggle, as O'Donnell Lines playing is kind of a pretty precarious position here to go around the outside. Fortunately, the others don't lock their brakes and smash into him, and O'Donnell Lines might just be past McLennan here. Davis getting a place just ahead, and Davis, who had an off earlier on, getting back to a better position. Coates is off the circuit. Davis is now off the circuit as well, inexplicably. Maybe he was put off by Coates, who I don't know what happened to Coates there, but he had his own issue, as finally O'Donnell Lyson does get that move done on McLennan, and Ben tries to go down the inside. They make contact twice, but the crowd's competition cars do get past eventually.
Yeah, some interesting car placement there as McLennan was navigating the hairpin. He was in the lead of that little pack of drivers, but positioned himself all the way to the inside, and then didn't have enough room to break the car, so he went wide, and you know, now he's lost 2 places to the Kairos brothers, oh, not brothers, but the Kairos team. So it almost seemed to me as though he was uncomfortable leading that pack and wanted to give it up.
Yeah, well, it's more, kind of more fun attacking than it is defending.
Oh yeah.
But well, the thing is, I'm so dreadful at qualifying as O'Donnell Lyon's going to get done by Baird here, and this will be satisfying for Dane Baird to put a move on his teammate, because he doesn't put moves on many people, but let's face it, Dane Baird. But he's put a move on him there. I mean, good race to Baird is Dane, who so far has only got 1 point to his name, has had a 20th and a 21st, but at the moment running up in 15th place, albeit that long queue of cars is still right behind him. Russell Barnes just before the race, was it Russell Barnes? Just before the race. Or the Finding Speed channel, I'm not sure who's operating that, I assume it is Russell, asking about the new cars, of course, for next season, and it's very exciting. We're expecting to have the Lamborghini Huracan added, and also the BMW M4. So the BMW Z4, which has been around for many years, well before I was on iRacing, will be banished, and the Lamborghini will be coming in. I don't know if any of the other GT3 cars will be banished, but very good news that iRacing are continuing to add to GT3 content, which besides the Ferrari has been rather a vacuum in recent times.
Yeah, I mean, when the Z4 came out, it was you know, it was so new and fresh to see BMW do a sort of a, you know, their take on an English sports car, if you call it that. But gosh, it's been around for a while now. I mean, I think it's time for some fresh cars for sure.
Definitely. So yeah, it would be nice to have a bit more up-to-date feel. I mean, we could just have like the Ferrari, the actual current cars. I believe the Ferrari's still running, and of course the M4 is running, and the Huracan as well. I don't think the Mercedes AMG. Maybe, no, I think the Mercedes is still running. I don't know if you know more about this than I do, Jim, because I don't really follow GT3 too much. But I think the Mercedes might still be things. You could just have those 4 cars and have a kind of an accurate, up-to-date field. And Vinbo's had another off, and he's for the Swede. There he is. He's a long way off the track.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, I you know, and very nearly, it looked like he got a little bit of a hit check there, but very nearly dipped a wheel and went off again. He must be driving mad, driving angry at this point, and I certainly would be after you know, qualifying P1 and then just sort of rattling down the ladder here, and only about a third of the way through the race, if that. But it looks like Aaron Rose just got around. It looked like Furs was briefly in second, and then Rose took the place back. I have noticed that Furs has been all over Aaron Rose's bumper, so that excites me. I like seeing the Luxem guys get a, you know, at least not be able to walk away with it, you know. You know.
Definitely. Yeah, it's nice to see them having a proper challenge, because yes, Butts is really the first guy to put that challenge to them. I wonder if we get a replay of what happened to O'Donnell Lyons, because I think that's what you were seeing before with the positions at the top changing around, because O'Donnell Lyons had to tow back to the pits. He was briefly ahead of all those guys as, oh no, is it the teammates? I don't think it is. I think O'Donnell Lyons spins, and then he takes out a couple of cars straight behind him. Oh no, Dane Baird, resign, mate, resign. Oh no, any kind of competition, you were in heaven before, and Baird may have taken out more drivers, being himself. Couldn't stop it just with his teammates.
Oh,
And
I
so
had such high hopes for Baird today.
he was doing so well.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen him get a point again. Shame.
So there were certainly other cars involved. So Baird in the middle of the circuit. Oh yeah, they had nowhere to go. Oh
Was
no.
that McLennan and Pratt? Not McLennan, the other Scottish driver.
Macintosh? Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it was
McLennan.
McLennan. You were right. So Baird, yeah, probably not going to be scoring points, unfortunately. Top 20 to score points in this championship. So lots of incidents so far. Not even a third the way through the race. Lewis Rose, though, maintaining that 9/10 of a second advantage. He kind of pulled that gap straight away after getting past his teammate Aaron Rose. He qualified on the front row of the grid. Lewis Rose started in third. It was Emil Winbo starting from pole. But Rose just maintained that gap ever since, and Christian First keeping them very honest in a very impressive third position. At the moment for Christian, as Roggenbuck did end up taking the start. So yeah, we did have 28 starters. He was just getting out of the way there. And Russell Barnes trying to get past John Dinkle. Dinkle up 7 places, Barnes now up 16.
Yeah, he's really slicing through the field, isn't he, Barnes? Or so it appeared when we just, the camera just went to him just a second ago. It looked like he was really smashing through, and he is, isn't he? He's gained quite a few places, up to 11th. He'll be in the points as you predicted, I suspect.
Yes. And he's always quite cautious, isn't he? I find. But you're absolutely right there. He doesn't just slice through the field. He kind of does it under the radar. Doesn't make a big deal out of it. But he's very desperate, is Barnes, not to have to give himself a penalty. I think as he comes into the pits, and he's one of the first drivers to make their one pit stop mandatory, just to get to the end of the race. And this is pretty much as early as you can make a pit stop, I think, to get to the end. And similar to Snetterton, not quite as bad as Snetterton, but they are very bumpy pit lane.
Well, Sam, if he plays his cards right here, he should come out with a lot of clear air. So if he was getting into that traffic and thinking to himself, I'd rather just drive in the clear air, although he'd have to be coming out pretty soon in order to make that work. And here he comes.
And he hasn't gone a lap down.
I don't know if that factors in at all, but might do.
Well, he's just ahead of McLennan and Ocaranza. Neither of them have pitted. McLennan is decently fast, albeit with damage. And Ocaranza, apologies, that's not Ocaranza, is it? It's Dane Baird. Baird is a lap down, and he towed back, but I'm not seeing him actually in the pit so far. I'm pretty sure he towed back to the pits or had a pit stop or some kind of pit stop registering for me. But there he is in 22nd place, well down on the rest. 999 of Pratt, leading Davis and Jackson. I think it was it Davis and Jackson who came together earlier on? I'm not sure, but I think they've both had issues. But they're still on the same piece of circuit. I think it's only a matter of time until they get past Pratt.
I believe you may be right, although it could have been, I think there is a sister car to Jackson's car also on track, and I think that one might have had an off. But hey, they could both have had. There's no limit to the number of offs you can have.
As Emil Winbo is proving at the moment with his 4th out into the grass. I wonder if we get a replay of that, how that one's out, because that was a weird one to go around that part of the circuit, because it's usually very easy flat in these GT3 cars. Heck, even in the touring cars. As he lost it coming out of turn 1 and then cut that entire section. Yeah. So, and he's probably made a beeline across. There you are. Oh, being camera work there for Sam Kume. He's on, a certain state that doesn't belong to him. Probably lost him more time. And he's back onto circuit, holds on to 10th place.
Yeah, that was a cross-country sailing adventure, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just out there in a sea of grass. Uh, expect to see a covered wagon and an ox pulling something.
Well, this circuit is very old, and I was looking at again. I don't know why I was looking at Donington. I think I got caught up in it. I'm probably procrastinating about exams, and I looked at what the circuit used to be. And literally, like, I think this circuit started out in like the 20s and 30s. And it was literally just a drive through some trees. I think the old hairpin was still a thing. That's pretty much, or that was to a large extent the only thing that remains from that original circuit. But I forgot what my point was. But that's the thing that happened. Davis on the back of Pratt still can't get past. Jackson, fortunately for him, isn't getting past him either. They're 2 and a bit seconds a lap off the front runners. Like Davis is a lot faster. His fastest lap is a 29.3, so his fastest lap is 2 seconds faster than what he did on that last lap, and his fastest lap is 1 second faster than Pratt's fastest lap. So there's no doubt he's faster. There's no doubt that he will get past eventually. But Donington, despite not being Alton Park or Brandshatch, is still showing its difficulty in overtaking.
Yeah, well, he's approaching probably the best spot if he can manage to stay on Pratt's bumper as they go through this chicane here. Then it seems to me that the braking zone for the hairpin would be the spot to try your lunge. So we should be seeing it shortly, I would think. And it seems like he's just a bit too far back to try to make anything happen on this go-round. Well, he has a little look anyway. Oh, and there's another car there.
They're all out of place, and none of them can gain any time. Even Jackson behind, who may have had a good chance, wasn't able to take advantage of that. It's just running a little bit wider ahead. There you can see kind of the bump on the exit, how it really goes downhill. I don't think I've ever done a race round this circuit. I'm always surprised about how many circuits I haven't actually done a race round. So I haven't done that many laps. I've probably just done maybe 100 odd laps around this circuit. But that corner, I still cannot get my head around whatsoever. It is extremely difficult. Jackson just dropping off now from those 2 ahead. Race lead up to 2 seconds now. First race ahead of Aaron Rose. Just wondering if it might be worth first going for an alternative strategy here, Jim, because he's been right tucked up behind Aaron Rose for this entire race. I mean, he could come into the pits early. The problem with that is that he'd then come out into traffic and he'd have to make some moves. I think probably the better strategy would just be to lift and coast whilst he's behind Aaron Rose. And then maybe go a lap further on fuel, take less fuel at the pit stop, and get ahead of the Rose brothers that way. I think the best option would be just to overtake him and win the race and come to the end. That doesn't seem like that's something he's able to do at the moment.
Yeah, look, why don't you just drive around his car and go across the finish line first? Simple as that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you make a good point about lifting and coasting. However, if I've been in the situation before where in my mind I'm like, hey, if I lifted and coasted here, maybe I could save some tires and save a little bit of fuel. But the other part of my mind is you are doing everything you can to stay on this guy's bumper. So lifting and coasting is not really an option.
Yeah, you're right. He's certainly saving fuel whether he's lifting, coasting or not, because it just reduces the drag, and you're on the throttle for a little bit less time. Looking good for first. He's looked very comfortable so far in this race. Trenta has an issue just now. He's behind Dinkle again. I wonder if we can get a replay of that. Also, Christensen, I think, had a little bit of an off. Whenever the position box lights up red, that indicates that a driver is off the circuit, in case you're not familiar with the SDK gaming software, which of course you can check out at sdkgaming.co.uk. Trenta with a pretty good save, but did lose a whole heap of time back onto circuit at the expense of 1 place.
Yeah, lucky to only lose 1 place there. Well, lucky to stay out of the wall and not wad up the car. So, not a bad save, as you say. Those tank slappers are always scary, when the car's going one way and you correct, it goes the other way and you correct again. It's just, there's nothing you can do but wait for the car to settle down. must be riding on plan, and we are riding on board with Hertz here. Having a little look just at how far away Lewis Rose is, I think. And the answer is very far indeed. So yeah.
So carry on.
Well, I was just going to go back to what you're saying about pit strategy maybe being an option. You know, they seem to be picking up a second or so on Tapio in P4 per lap. So if they continue to open up that window, you know, but that could take a number of laps, you know, maybe a little bit too far into the race for pit comfort. So I don't know. I think if I'm Furs, I'm just going to hang out and let it and see what happens. I mean, he knows the caliber of the drivers that he's running with, so might not want to roll the dice. Interesting also to me that the Rose brothers, are just running, you know, 2 seconds apart, whereas normally you'd expect to see them nose to tail.
Yeah, that's certainly how they were at the start. They were about a second between one another for the first 15 minutes in this race, but in the last 10 minutes or so, the gap has extended out on that last lap. Lewis Rose was 1/10 of a second faster than his teammate has. Bounces right onto the back, and if he can nail this chicane here, chicane isn't usually an overtaking place, but if he can take a good line here, like he did on the last lap, and that's pretty good as well. He's within passing range. He could go for this one. It's a very wide entry. He's just trying to put his rival offline. He gets the cutback earlier on the power. Comes back into the draft, but he won't be close enough for a move into the final corner. And that's pretty much as close as Furtz has got to an overtake. Doesn't want to lose them too much time either in their pursuit of the race leader. Tapio has a threat, by the way, of potentially dropping down the order because he's in 4th place. Doing a good job is Tapio. He's kind of been able to avoid all the mess that's gone on behind him. I think hence why he's been able to get himself into a pretty good position. But just looking at his fastest lap time, which isn't always representative of your pace, but Tapio's fastest lap is a 28.6, Richardson a 28.4, Lancaster 28.3, and Van Nylen 28.1. And on that lap, he was about half a second slower than all of them. So he's being caught by the 3 cars behind him at the moment, Tapio, and so far he's just driven a very consistent race. It's enabled him to keep hold of that 4th position, qualified in 5th, up 1 place due to the issues for Vinbo, of course. But potentially could be coming under a bit more pressure in this next stint in the race.
You know, it makes you wonder what Richardson and Lancaster's race would look like had they not had so many interesting moments thus far.
Yeah. Well, on that last lap, that's insane. On that last lap, they were lapping half a second faster than the leaders. I don't know what happened to the leaders on that last lap, but they all just had an awful lap, it seems. Yeah, you're absolutely right. RPM absolutely flying on.
I would like to see, it would be great if...
Oh, no. Oh, that's a curse. Oopsie daisy. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, that was Van Nylen, I guess. Gave him a little tap there.
Lancaster's not making many friends today. I think that's 4 incidents now that he's had. I'm not a steward for this series, but I do wonder if there'll be any penalties given out, especially for that one. Reversing back onto the racing line. Richardson and Lancaster actually into the pits now. Lancaster to fix that damage, I imagine.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, you know, maybe fix a little damage and also take a little bit of a break. Settle the mind down. He's probably thinking to himself, you know, I'd like to be friends with a lot of these people, so I need to chill out a little bit.
Well, Barnes will be... Where is Barnes in relation to these guys? Lancaster's coming out of the pits now. I think Barnes is still going to be just behind him, but it's not a long way. They can see... Ooh, that's a bit of an ambitious move there from Pratt, but Lancaster not far ahead. So Barnes is... Oh, we've got a driver off the track set. Oh, that's not Garanta. But Barnes, I think, is effectively 12th place then. Or is he... Oh, actually, he's going to be higher than that. I think he might be in the top 10 now. Is Russell Barnes. I think he'll be close between him and Tranter and maybe Groves as well. Didn't call. I think we're quite a long way ahead of Tranter now. As something's happened to Furtz and Rose. Furtz, I think, has gone for a move seemingly into the final corner, and they've lost a whole heap of time. Here it was, going around the outside and catching his opponent unawares, and well, what was going on there?
Huh.
I wonder if we could maybe go back a little bit further, see if there was something beforehand, because it was as though Rose was letting past Christian Furtz there, but I can only imagine that there was something happened before, which was the reason why he let him past. Maybe a slowdown, perhaps, for Rose? Yeah, I think so, because he's pretty slow there. Well, in the end, Furtz managed to get past, but they've both lost about 2 seconds because of that.
Yeah, their interval to Lewis Rose has jumped up to 5 seconds now.
But Furtz has got track position, and he should have a bit more fuel than Rose after spending so much time behind Aaron, and he's already pulled a second advantage. What is this lap? Lewis Rose with a poor lap time of 29.7, and Christian Furtz 1 second faster. So, now that he's got clear air, we can see what his pace is like, and so far it looks very strong.
Yeah, hammer time for Furz, I think. I mean, it's unfortunate that he's going to have to stop. He's going to have his pit stop before too long. So that's going to be a little bit of a momentum breaker for him, I think. But he does appear to really just be storming along, doesn't he?
Yeah, he sure does. As Pratt, something's going on with Pratt. I wonder if Pratt's cut the circuit.
Looks like he's lost the rear of the car on that descending.
I wonder if he's gone straight on. I think he's gone straight on at the chicane here. And then if he hasn't hit anyone here, then this is an absolute miracle from Pratt, because he's got the... There you go. So he's cut across the circuit, and he's very lucky there. Oh, and he did hit an RPM car. That must have been... Richardson? Yeah, he hit Richardson. He was mega unlucky right there. The car who hit him, by the way, was O'Donnell Lines, I believe.
He did get a little bit of a punt there, so, not entirely his fault.
Yeah, that's... I'm surprised I've never seen that around this circuit, because that is an accident waiting to happen. Because, yeah, your brakes aren't going to work very well. And, yeah, awful bad luck there for Nathan Richardson in the RPM racing car. It may have been O'Donnell, it may have been Binbo as well, I'm not quite sure. But what's only one of the cars was the one who got with him. By the way, Lewis Rose 28.8, Christian Furtz 28.4. Gap between the two leaders continues to decrease as we get closer to the pit stop range. I think the drivers are limited to about 75% of fuel, as Mark Tranter is in for his pit stop. Now, I wonder if Tranter is still going to be ahead of Barnes. In fact, Barnes is well ahead of Tranter, and that is very good news for Russell, who I think is up into the top 8 now.
Well, running P11, I think you mean once all the pits have shuffled through. Yeah. Yeah, well, he's certainly, I mean, he always climbs through the field, doesn't he? That's why I've invented the drinking game, in which I am not participating.
Yeah. Yeah, our speech would be very slurred by now. Guillaume had an off. He's down to 9th place now. It's Chris Guillaume. Ooh, well, has he hit a barrier as well?
I wonder. A bit wadded up there.
I mean, take it in, that Z4. We're not going to see a whole lot of it. If the M4 is released anytime soon, it might not be released on Wednesday. It might take a bit of time for it to be released. But certainly it will be released ASAP. I think for iRacing. I think BMW is still sorting a few things out on their end. So I assume Guillaume will be into the pits to get his pit stop done.
Yeah, no better time for it than when your car is all smashed up, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was just looking at O'Donnell Lyons' car and trying to tell if I think it just must have been my eyes playing tricks on me, but it looked like his car was listing a bit to port there.
It's going to get past Okaranza. Credit to Okaranza, to be fair, who isn't the fastest driver out there. I think Van will admit to that one. His fastest lap is just over 2 seconds slower than the leader's fast lap, which to be fair isn't that bad. But very rarely see Okaranza make mistakes. He did have a little bit of enough earlier on. But he keeps it pretty clean, and he does get overtaken a lot of the time because you have these guys who have moments. You drop down the order, have to take back to the pits, and then pass Okaranza. But it looks as though he might get his first points of the season here, up there in 20th place.
Well, you can go pretty far, can't you, just by staying out of trouble?
Yeah, especially in this race with the instance that we've had. Lewis Rose just extending the lead in that last lap. Back up to 1/10 of a second. Verts would love to be within kind of undercut range, I'm sure. Be within 2 seconds maybe, where you can put a little bit less fuel in than Rose and get track position. But I don't think he'll get close enough in the next 5 minutes, which will be when the pit stops are made. In order to do that, he will have to just plug away at that gap and have to get him done on circuit. But there is the race leader. Let's see if he comes into the pit. Still about half the drivers on track yet to come into the pits. Rose does duck on in. Let's see if First can go an extra lap here. No, he can't, and that's a shame for Christian. I'm sure he would have loved to go another lap, and Rose as well into the pit. So that seemed to be the as far as the fuel could go.
Yeah, well, we'll have a pretty interesting moment here, I think, and we'll see how pit strategy works out for everybody. As we know from the race a fortnight ago, it can mean everything, can't it? So let's see who comes out first.
Still Lewis Rose then. Was similar time, I think, for Verts. Yeah, 2/10 longer than Verts. Well, that's a little bit of a shame for me. I thought he'd be able to go a bit of a shorter pit stop because, of course, he spent so many laps behind Aaron Rose. Thought he maybe saved a little bit of fuel, but he's going to have to get it done. Circuit 4 seconds to catch in 20 minutes.
Yeah. Well, he does still have to get it across the finish line in order for any of this to count. Maybe it was, I don't know, maybe it was a little bit conservative on the fuel, but, better to finish on the podium than run out of fuel with a lap to go.
Yeah. Have you ever had that happen to yourself?
No, seen it plenty of times.
Yeah.
I always say, that's what I always have in my mind. Is like, I might as well get all the fuel that I need because I know that my pace is not enough. I know that I'm not winning, so I might as well, be out there and circulate.
I've had weeks before in official series where I start out the week and I don't check out how much fuel I need, and then I get it wrong the first time, and then I just don't change it like the second time, and I'll literally ruin 3 races where I have to make an extra pit stop just because I'm too ignorant to change the amount of fuel that I add. But that's one of my many weaknesses on the track. But for me, it's just something where I always think going on to the last lap, come on, the guy ahead could still run out of fuel, and whilst it happens exceptionally rare amounts of time, it is very satisfying when it occurs. Mark Tranter, who did have one off earlier on, it did kind of destabilise him a bit because you can see he's only 4 seconds off Dinkel, and he was running ahead of Dinkel before he was off. So it's cost him quite bad. Did that mistake, but he's trying to recover now. He's got Adam Groves just ahead of him, and then he's got Matt Jackson, who's yet to come into the pits, running in 10th place. Oh no, he's had another off.
Oh no.
And that was well, who was that? Just quickly nipping past. I think it was the car behind Groves. There you go, Callum Pratt. Good work there from Sam.
Yeah, that part, the strategy and the fuel, I don't care for it. I like driving, and that's it.
Well,
So,
you said you were in an endurance teammating man. Although I guess there's not that much strategy in teammating, so it's kind of just pure let the car and drive for a bit.
yeah, the key is to pair with somebody who enjoys that stuff.
Yeah.
Who can kind of be the team engineer and think about it, and then as long as you bring the car home, you're good. That's where I want to be.
So Donald Lyons battling with someone here, and the last time we saw a car battling with someone down into this chicane, it didn't work well. Works better this time, but Donald Lyons still can't get past McLaren at the moment. Donald Lyons was such a good start, but pretty much didn't go badly for him, and that's gone quite badly for him as well. A bit of a tap on the back of McLaren does lift off the poles later, so Donald Lyons to let the 18th man retake that position. Everyone has come into the pits now, apart from Callum Pratt, apparently, as Donald Lyons moves up into 18th. And yeah, I wonder if Pratt maybe did a pit stop which hasn't registered on our timing screen, because this is an exceptionally long way to go, starting on the fuel that he was supposed to start.
I was just having a laugh there at McLennan stepping aside and letting Donald Lyons through. I think McLennan is I don't know the man. I don't know what's happening in his head. But if I were in his position running P19 and somebody's just really racing me hard, at a certain point it's like, look, just go on through, okay? I'm gonna try to enjoy the rest of this race. If you are gonna try to kill yourself for P20, knock yourself out, but it can be somebody else, because we've seen McLennan a couple times get mugged right there in the hairpin, so he's probably sick of it. Again, I don't know. I'm not able to read his mind.
Well, he had that off earlier on when Dane Baird spun in front of him, so he'll be quite happy to get out of the wars. I think he might be able to catch up to Pratt, albeit his last lap was very slow, McLennan, so I don't know. We'll see. I wonder if we could get track temperature up on the screen. Kind of see what what it's like for the drivers out there. Up to 80 degrees track temperature. So it's a little bit to 80 degrees, and it's not rising too much. It's about midday, and yeah, still that sun looks slightly different. I don't know. I might be making stuff up here, Jim, and I might be going mad. But does the sky look different in the summer than it does in the winter? I mean, is there a difference there, or am I just making stuff up? Because it does seem to look different in iRacing, and I feel like there might be a difference in real life as well, but I can't put my finger on it. I'm sounding really thick right now, but do you know what I mean?
I do, and I would like to be able to answer that question, but I have not been outside in almost a year, so I don't know what the sky looks like anymore.
Well, you got a window, don't you?
I can tell you what walls look like.
Yeah. What colour walls have you got?
Well, the lights are off, but I happen to know that these ones are blue in here because I painted them.
Aha. See, I've got nice cream. Walls cream and beige. Lovely colours on my palette. Christiansen still ahead of Chancer. That prize competition car does look very nice. That's certainly not not beige. Can we get a beige car, please? And the BWT car as well. I'm running training pairs. I think we can see that livery as well. The BWT, the 2017 inspired livery from Force India at the time, now Racing Point. Also a big fan of one of my favourite liveries of all time.
Really? Force India?
Yep. Love the pink.
Yeah, I'm a fan too. I always liked the pink shirt.
I'd love to get some merchandise actually from Force India. Apologies from Racing Point. Albeit, of course, now they're going to be Aston Martin, and that will look pretty cool.
I agree.
Yeah. Whether they have the pink on there, I assume they will do, but BWT, that's kind of what BWT demand, I think, of whoever they're following. But that would be a tricky design for the guys. I know a lot of amateur designers have struggled to fit that in nicely.
I'm more of a rich energy man myself.
Oh yeah, well that great livery though, wasn't it? Great livery, latest esque.
Yeah, like John Player, almost John Player special, going back all those many years. But yeah, what a saga that is in terms of the whole. I mean, rich energy, but also Racing Point, Force India, the whole. It's at least as entertaining as the on-track behavior.
Yes. Yeah. I wonder what Haas will do next year under pretty much new management, I think. Whether they'll have the Russian flag on it or something. Yes, I'm not quite sure. I don't know what the Mazepins will decide to put on that car. Exciting stuff. And what will Alpine do as well? What will that livery be like? Anyway, Formula 1 can rest. I'm looking forward to the race tomorrow. This is the race going on. But we are discussing this because there's not too many overtakes that are going on out on the circuit. We have got a couple of battles. We've got Richardson versus Van Nylen, which we're now watching. And there's also Tranter versus Christiansen, just getting ahead of Christiansen. But this one's a bit tight at the moment. Van Nylen getting the cut back nicely on Richardson, who will try to defend into this next corner. Puts his car up the inside. So it doesn't really look like a fair fight. The size of the Audi compared to the very small BMW Z4. But BMW packs a punch. And he's got the better line into turn 1. Runs wide, misses the apex. Richardson can't come back though. And that is Van Nylen up into 5th place. Tapier's miles ahead of them. I don't know how Tapier's got that quite so far ahead of these guys. But Tapier's miles ahead. He won't catch up to them. Or to him. But Van Nylen, very good drive so far today. He's up into 5th.
Yeah, well, just driven a reasonably careful race. You know, we haven't had too much to say about Tapio. He seemed to struggle a little bit in qualifying, but eventually, came good. And, just driven a careful, stayed out of the fray. Hasn't gotten any, hasn't had any cars appear broadside in the track in front of him, which is always nice. But yeah, I'm just looking at the time on up the tower between Furs and Rose. And they appear to be lapping just about the same lap times. Rose's last was a 1:28.8, and Furs' last was 1:29.1, so 0.3 there or so.
It's come down slightly. But you're right, that it's like, I mean, first was 0.3 faster 2 laps ago, but now that last lap, Rose kind of brings back that gap. So it is a shame that Furtz was held up by Aaron Rose for a little bit, and of course he had that slight off, which lost them 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds. And obviously the gap is 2.7 now, so you wonder what could have been. But Lewis Rose driving well. Looks like it's going to be another race victory to go with his Alton Park race, which you can't quite remember he won at Brands Hatch. Maybe Lewis Rose again, so it's looking good for him at the moment in the championship.
It's definitely Lux said 1, 2, 3. I remember that much. Definitely the Roses were in the 1 and 2, I think. Or they might have been 1 and 3, the Roses.
Yeah, I will look back at that broadcast actually. But of course, I think one of them may have had a pit stop issue though.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
and it was like a 40-second penalty. Such is the strictness at Brands Hatch. As oh, he had nowhere to go there, did O'Donnell Lyons trying to get past Pratt. He was held his own in 17th place, keeping behind the car's competition car, but now slows significantly, and maybe a slowdown or something there. I'm not quite sure why he let him go.
Yeah, hard to say. Pratt could be looking at the looking at the clock and saying, okay, look, this is almost over. I'd rather finish in P18 than be, smashed off the track. So, does seem that O'Donnell Lyons is really racing hard out there. Since last we spoke about him, he was moving into P19, I think now, and now he's to P17. So, doing everything he can to better his position. But it could be that the other racers on track are wary about having somebody directly on their bumper who's willing to really lay it all out there.
Yeah, the track stats have improved as the race has gone on. Lancaster somehow back up into 7th place, and he's had quite a tumultuous race so far, but still in 7th place, and Russell Barnes now is behind him. And well, this will be an interesting one, because we've got probably the most aggressive driver out on site in Lancaster going up against probably the most passive driver in Barnes, but Barnes is faster on that last lap. He lapped half a second faster. And I'm sure Barnes doesn't want to get involved in it. I'm sure if Lancaster has any respect for the league admins, as one should, he shouldn't want to get involved in an incident either. But just a hint of a defensive move there. But Lancaster, Barnes piling on the pressure right now.
I wonder if driving in this series is having any effect on Barnes' approach to other series. Because I wonder if he's starting these races without really caring what happens, but also just, having maximum respect for other drivers. He's not charging hard, but he is getting results. So I wonder if he's saying to himself, I could have this attitude every time I get behind the wheel.
I think that's a very good point. It's served him very well so far in this in this championship. A little bit annoyingly for Lancaster is that he's not actually far off the top 5. If he can get past Richardson now, then you think he will probably get within about 3 seconds of Van Nylen by the end of the race. But he will just fall a little bit short, but still 7th place I think would be his best result of the season. He did get 11th at Brands Hatch. I found the results for Brands Hatch. Interestingly, Aaron Rose actually took the win at Brands Hatch. It was Rose, then Fletcher, Jack Knight rounding out the podium. And then Lewis Rose was down in 6th place. So, seeing that Aaron Rose has been so consistent, as we see Russell Barnes making that move, and good move there, Lancaster, not biasing that one too hard. But the championship will be very close now after this meeting, because Aaron Rose has finished in 3rd place 2 races and finished 1st in 1 race. Lewis Rose has finished 1st in 2 races, but finished 6th in 1 race. So there won't be much between the brothers, but I think you've got to favour Lewis Rose for the title just because he's shown more pace in his past 2 rounds.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Interesting that Furtz has managed to close down the gap to the leader to just about 1.5 seconds now. I guess that must be because of dealing with traffic. Maybe if I do think that Furtz is still going to just run out of time here. What with it being 4-ish minutes to go, 3.5 minutes to go. I don't think he's going to quite have time to make anything happen, but you never know.
Well, you know what? We will just edge in an extra lap. So we've got 3 minutes 10 to go, and the lap is 1 minute 30. So we will get 3 more laps in. We'll get in that extra lap with about 10 seconds to spare. So Furtz is fortunate that he's got that 1 extra lap, and he's 1.3 seconds behind, and you can see it on the screen. You can't see it visually, but you can certainly see it on the screen. That gap is decreasing. That last time around, they actually matched one another, to be fair. And down to 1.2, although not quite as good an exit for Bert. But this is
Got
a
a
little
nice
bit closer
clear
than what
track
Rose was
here.
like. So,
No, sorry, I was interrupting you. Just saying that they have a little bit of clear track here. Next on track for them, I think, will be Guillaume. But they got a wide. I don't know if they'll catch him or not.
Guillaume's lap times
Oh,
30.4. Ooh, oh no, oh no. Well, that could
yeah.
be second place gone as well. Where's Aaron Rose? Aaron Rose moves past. And it will be a Rose 1-2, and that is big for the championship. Because Aaron Rose is not going to lose as many points as he thought to his brother. Might just be the championship lead being held on there for Aaron Rose and first pushing as hard as he could. It's been a fantastic race for him, but unfortunately he's lost second place right now.
Yeah, unfortunate. That seemed to me like a very, just like an unforced error. I don't think there were any other cars nearby. I don't think he got any sort of hit check or anything like that. So, unfortunate end of the race. Maybe a little bit of brain fade. And as you say, just giving it everything he could. He was bringing that gap down, but at what cost?
Yeah. Yeah, he was leaving nothing. We'll see, and he's not going for the championship. Is Christian First, so go for the race wins. I'm sure third place will still be a good result for him. 2.5 seconds to Aaron Rose with about 2 laps to go. I wonder if there'll be a couple of drivers struggling for fuel on the last lap, because like I said, we are going to only force the extra lap by about 10 seconds, and maybe some drivers weren't quite expecting that, particularly the ones further down the order. Everyone down to 14th place are lapped. Just the top 13, Chris Gaio, the lowest driver, although he's now just being overtaken as well. So even if you do run out of fuel on the last lap, you will just drop down to 12th place, which wouldn't be too bad. That's why needs to make sure he doesn't run into the back of the race leader. Not really any other battles going on. Everyone else is separated by over a second at the moment out on track. Just a reminder about Finding Speed, who are organising this really successful championship it has been so far this season. If you're looking to find speed, if you're looking to improve your performance on iRacing, do check out the findingspeed.com website. And also go to the Finding Speed YouTube channel as well. Loads of videos being posted every week to improve your iRacing skill. And yeah, quite a few subscribers to the channel. So certainly very much appreciated if you can check that out if you're on Apex Racing TV. And of course, if you're already watching this on the Finding Speed YouTube channel, do subscribe. Van Nyland still holding on to 5th place as we move on to the last lap.
Yeah, what a race it's been. As you say, very successful league. What a great thing this is. I mean, I look forward to it every 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to seeing how the championship shapes up, although I think we have a decent idea what the last name of the person on the top step of the podium is going to be. But it's not all sorted out. Plenty of racing left to go.
Yeah, but the pendulum has certainly swung to Lewis Rose in the last couple of meetings after a disastrous Brands Hatch meeting. Perhaps he could have won. He is going to be able to take his 2nd race win of the season, first up at Alton Park. And this time, it will be at Donington. Lewis Rose wins for Luxim 24. He takes round 3 of the championship. Aaron Rose will take a very good 2nd place. Yes, he lost that place compared to his starting place to his brother, but a 2nd place still does limit the damage in a day that he just could not match his teammates. First finishes in 3rd place, great results for him. I believe that's his first podium of the season, but just that late mistake cost him a top 2 finish. Tapio with a really result in 4th place. He was very competitive. Van Nylen, Richardson and Barnes gaining 20 places by the end for his best finish of the season. You can see the 2 RPM cars there line astern. Pretty good day for them. Good day for Luxem. Not such a good day for Kairos after taking pole position, of course, with Emil Binbay finishing well down the order in the end. Max Christiansen will be the last driver to get to the line. Snetterton next up. Jim, I mean, is that a circuit that you have like any experience around? Have you driven around there in the past?
Not enough to know it, but my recollection is as you said at the top of the broadcast, which is we'll be back to a more sort of a traditional British circuit, so not a lot of passing opportunities, and then of course finish out the series with Silverstone, so plenty of opportunity there. But no, I'm not as familiar with it as I would like to be. But we'll find out about it together.
Definitely. And I mean, I live 20 miles away, and so I have a soft spot for Snetterton, albeit I do expect that 300 lat is not a very fun circuit. It is flat, um, like Norfolk is flat as Kansas, for an American equivalent, I think. But yeah, that will be a very good round to visit. That will be, yeah, for round 4 of the championship. Just a couple of rounds to go, and of course, the next round will be with you in a couple of weeks' time. No Christmas break or anything. We will have that round for you in 14 days' time. But before that, we've got some interviews to go to, and we've also got the race results as well. And taking his second race win of the season, it is Lewis Rose, who beats his brother and teammate Aaron Rose to the race win. Christian Furtz finishes in 3rd place. Great result for Chris Tapia in 4th. A great result as well for Stein Van Nyland, who might be in 3rd place in the championship actually after that round, with Billy Fletcher not attending this meeting. Then it was Nathan Richardson, Russell Barnes, Robert Lancaster, John Dinkle, and Adam Groves rounding up the top 10. Mark Tranter has an issue out there, I can only imagine, because he wasn't far behind those guys at one point, but in the end ended up 11th place, 1 minute 20 off the lead. Now it's Max Christiansen. First of the one lap down drivers was Chris Guillaume. Matt Jackson was in 14th. There was Luke Davis, Ole Pedersen, Callum Pratt, EJ Donald Lines, John McLennan. Dan Okoranza gets his first point of the season. Alexander Rockenbach did pretty well in the end to finish in 21st place. Then it was the Kairos cars of Vinbo and Baird, Braden Coates, Aaron Lord, Benjamin Warburton, Igor Bembick, Jim McIntosh were the drivers who rounded out the order. Harry Weir did not take the start for Praxis Motorsports. Hopefully we will see him back for future meetings. So who have we got an opportunity to chat to at the moment? No one's come for a chat with us, and usually we do have a few drivers who come for a chat with us, often the Kairos competition guys, but I don't think they're in too much of a mood to talk to us, to be honest, after what was a tricky round for themselves. Of course, kind of with the new stuff, joining iRacing on Wednesday, Jim, these guys are going to have a little bit of discipline about themselves, and not going to have any official shows over the next week to practice in these GT3 cars. But I'm sure they'll be back to some really good racing next time out. I don't believe we're going to have any car changes, despite if the Hurricane joins us. But I kind of hope that we do, because I want to see that Lamborghini out of circuit, as we are actually going to have a chat with John Dinkle, who's quickly popped in the interview waiting area. And John, congratulations out there, 17th to 9th tonight. Looked like you pretty much got everything out of that. You must be really pleased.
Yeah, that was actually really difficult. I have to, like, it was really fun, but coming to like the closing stages of the race, I think it was some can't remember who, but I was getting the guy behind me. He was like catching up on me and figure out where I was being slow. So yeah.
Yeah, it was Adam Groves putting pressure on you right at the end. But yeah, you did a really good job there. You had a very good start as well. Seemed to avoid a lot of the mess. How was it from your perspective?
the start was eventful, I think is the best way to say it. A lot of people who went off, a lot of people who spawned. Thankfully, I was able to keep on track. I remember midway, I think maybe a third into the race, I was fighting against the Kairos competition cars, I think, and I think it was Winbow. I just he kept passing me. I knew he was faster, but then he'd eventually go off or spin or something, and I'd pass him again. So, like, thankfully, I was able to kind of keep it clean, keep it on track, not spin, and that's how it's been for pretty much the whole season so far. So,
Yeah, well, it's certainly got you some very good results so far. As an American, I will forgive you for not being particularly experienced around these British circuits. Do you have much experience around British circuits? I mean, is Donington one that you've done any races around before?
I believe I've done some races. I'm more of a road person. I don't do much oval, but I have like Silverstone. I run pretty regularly. I was doing the Apex Racing League GT series last week at Silverstone, so I have some experience there. Brands Hatch, I'm pretty familiar with, both with round one of this series and other road series. And then there's Snetterton. I've never raced there before. Donington, I think I've done TCRs there, and what's the last one? Wilton Park. Tad bit of experience there, mainly with touring cars.
Yeah, and of course, Knock Hill joining soon as well, or maybe not soon. It might be like a year, but anyway, looking forward to Knock Hill for the first Scottish circuit. So that'll be another one to learn. But you're doing yeah, extremely well at the moment, John. So congratulations on that ninth place. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
I think it's one of my other teammates, Isaac. He was supposed to do the series, but after he missed round one, I think, and then he was gonna do round two, but then he just didn't really feel right, and apparently he contracted the coronavirus. So just hopefully he kind of gets better, and hopefully he maybe can come back for the last two rounds of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be yeah, fantastic to see him back for the final couple of rounds. Thanks for having a chat with us, John, and we will see you back in a couple of weeks' time.
All right, thank you.
John Dinkle there for Praxis Motorsports, finishing in a good ninth position. So I don't think anyone's going to have a chat with us, so I think we'll wrap up the broadcast here. Of course, thanks to Russell Barnes for setting up this series, and thanks to Finding Speed. And once again, check out the findingspeed.com website and check out the Finding Speed YouTube channel as well to really improve your iRacing performance. Thanks to Jim alongside me and also Sam Kume on the cameras. We will be back with you in a couple of weeks' time for round 4 of the championship, where we will see the two Rose brothers once again go at a fight to see who will end up as the champion. 2 rounds to go at Snetterton and Silverstone. We will see you for those couple of meetings. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Jim Hodgson, and from Sam Kume, we are going to say goodbye, and we will see you next time.